The Whispering Shadows. In the quiet village of Eldamore, nestled deep within a forest surrounded by towering pine trees, there was an eerie legend passed down through generations, the legend of the Whispering Shadows. The villagers spoke of a place where the sunlight never reached, a dense part of the forest where shadows had a life of their own. The story begins with a young girl named Alara. She was a curious soul, with bright blue eyes that seemed to catch every flicker of light, and hair as dark as a raven's wing. She often wandered through Eldamore's outskirts, her heart drawn to the mysteries hidden within the woods. She had heard whispers of the shadows from the elders, tales of how they would come alive at twilight, dancing and whispering secrets of the forgotten world. Most people in Eldamore heeded the warnings to stay away, but Alara's curiosity grew with every story she heard. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Alara decided it was time to see the Whispering Shadows for herself. She slipped out of her home and made her way to the edge of the forest. The trees loomed above her like ancient guardians, their branches intertwined, forming a canopy that blocked out the evening light. The air grew colder, and a soft breeze began to whisper through the leaves. Alara walked deeper into the forest, guided by the faint whispers that seemed to call her name. She felt a strange sensation, like a gentle pull on her very soul. As she moved forward, the shadows around her seemed to stretch and sway, almost like they were alive. She reached a clearing where the trees were dense and the darkness thickened. This was the place the elders spoke of, the heart of the Whispering Shadows. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, surrounding her like a chorus of unseen voices. The shadows on the ground began to move, swirling and shifting, as if 1,000 figures were dancing to a silent tune. The shapes were indistinct, yet they had form, like the silhouettes of people long forgotten. They moved with a grace that was both haunting and mesmerizing. Alara stood transfixed, her heart pounding in her chest, but she felt no fear. Instead, she felt a strange sense of familiarity, as if she had been here before. One shadow stood out among the rest, a tall, slender figure with flowing hair that seemed to ripple like water. Unlike the others, it remained still, watching her. The figure reached out, and Alara felt a chill run down her spine as a voice, clear and soft as the rustling leaves, filled her mind. "Alara," it whispered, "why have you come?" "I wanted to see you," Alara replied, her voice barely more than a breath. "To know if the stories were true." The figure seemed to smile, though it had no face. "The stories are true, child. We are the shadows of those who once lived, bound to this place by memories and regrets. We whisper to those who dare to listen, sharing the secrets of what once was and what could be." Alara felt a strange connection to the shadows, as if their whispers resonated deep within her. She asked, "Why are you bound here? Can you not move on?" The figure's form wavered, like smoke in the wind. "We linger because we have unfinished stories, moments lost in time. Each of us holds a fragment of a life, waiting for someone to listen and remember." Alara's curiosity deepened. "And what can I do? How can I help you find peace?" The shadow extended its hand, and though it was made of darkness, Alara felt a warmth emanating from it. "Listen to our stories, Alara. Speak them to the world. Remember us, so we may fade into the light." Overwhelmed with empathy, Alara nodded. She sat down on the cold forest floor, surrounded by the whispering shadows, and listened. The shadows danced and swirled around her, each telling its tale, a tale of love lost, of dreams unfulfilled, of hopes and fears that never came to pass. Alara listened with an open heart, committing each story to memory. As the night wore on, the forest seemed to lighten. The shadows grew thinner, their whispers softer, until they were no more than a gentle breeze. When the first light of dawn pierced through the canopy, the shadows were gone, and Alara found herself alone in the clearing. Yet, she felt a profound sense of peace within her, as if she had just witnessed something sacred. Alara returned to Eldamore with the stories of the shadows. She began to write them down, sharing them with the villagers and anyone who would listen. She told the tales of love and loss, of courage and despair, of lives that had once been and the memories that still lingered. The people of Eldamore no longer feared the forest. Instead, they came to see it as a place of remembrance, a sanctuary where the forgotten could be remembered. And as for Alara, she became known as the Keeper of Shadows, the one who listened to the whispers and gave voice to the silent. The whispering shadows no longer haunted the forest, for they had found peace in being remembered. But every now and then, on a quiet night, if you listened closely, you might still hear their whispers in the wind, softly telling their stories to those who dare to listen.